All right. Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Actually, good afternoon. Well, this depends. Good morning, good afternoon. Whatever your fancy. Hopefully, you're not still sleeping though. Come on, get up. Time to wake up. What's up, baby? How you doing?
I'm doing okay. How you doing today?
I'm all right. You got your microphone popping?
Yeah.
Wait, take a seat. That's what you said. Come on, give me some voice. Give me some bass. Hey, what's going on? Yeah, I sound like I'm screaming. Yep. Well, hey, everybody. We want to say thank you for joining us again for Generational Conversations with Raphael and this amazing, beautiful lady named Colleen. And she is absolutely gorgeous. You know, can I just tell you how gorgeous you are?
Well, thank you.
Guys, you got to agree with me that she is absolutely gorgeous, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, babe, what's up?
What's up?
What's up? How you doing?
I'm fine.
Yes, you are. Yes, you are.
Well, we missed you guys last week. We
Yes.
were taking Dominique back to GCU.
Yes, our girl
my
is back.
goodness.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, both her and Seth are now juniors in college. Seth is at UNLV
Let's go, Seth.
doing his thing.
Doing his thing.
And he's a newly licensed driver.
Yes, he is. And he's been wheeling and dealing. Come on, everybody give a shout out and clap for my man, Seth. I wish I had one of those things that made it go, "God." So I have to make it go, yeah, Seth.
Oh.
But listen, I'm going to tell y'all something very funny. And this is the truth. I am so happy that Seth is driving.
Mm-hmm.
For a couple of reasons. One is because he's probably the most safe driver I've experienced. Because like he be making sure. Like, the other day I made a mistake. Well, it wasn't a mistake. It was just me being a dad. So I call him while he's driving, and I'm like, Seth, did you do something or other? And Seth, he hits the button. He says, "Hey, Dad, how you doing?" "Oh, okay, Dad. Listen, I gotta go, Dad. I'm driving. I'm in traffic." I said, "Okay." So for him to tell him, "Listen, I can't be talking right now," lets me know that when he's in the car, he's taking it very seriously. You know, and he's not taking it lightly because hey, he's actually driving a very big weapon.
Yep.
You know, but he takes it. But he's been enjoying his freedom, right? Seth has been one of those guys that he's like, "Listen, get me to independence as fast as I can, and let me figure it out. But I'm gonna think my way through it." And he has continually done that through his life, and driving has been no different. Yeah. So congratulations, buddy.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. And congratulations, you guys joining us. Listen, we know that, especially on Sunday, y'all could be any other place. I mean, you could be out, you could be in the building, you could be hanging out with the family, you could be eating, you could do a whole bunch of other things. So the fact that you chose to hang out with us for a little while, it does mean a lot. What we're aiming to do really as we transition this move is to maintain that we have our biblical principle aligned with the fact that we know that everybody that we speak to may not believe us, may not know who God is, but God knows you and he loves you. And he also knows that you're dealing with some very real issues that if you return to him and understand that the answer has been given, then that becomes a generational conversation. Would you agree with that, babe?
Yes.
I agree. So speaking of generational conversation, how you doing? Say hello to the people and tell them I said, let's all wake up and let's get our share moment. Go ahead, babe.
Why are you talking like that?
What?
Hello to the people.
That was fat. That was funny.
No.
That wasn't funny?
No.
I was,
You put like an accent on it.
Oh, okay. So you want to know where that came from?
Yeah.
You ever seen Eddie Murphy?
Yeah.
And it's called The Best of Eddie Murphy Saturday Night Live.
Yeah.
He said, "Talk to the people." And for some reason, it was in my head. It went to my mouth, and I came out and said, "Talk to the people." You know what, guys? Listen. I have a great sense of humor. I don't know what's going on with her, but she thinks that I'm the corniest person. So as you're watching this,
listen.
Yep.
You have corny times. You have times.
Corny moments.
Yeah. You have a corny moment.
I ain't even listening to you right now.
Okay.
I'm not even listening to you.
Let's focus.
Okay, well, let's. The first part of the focus is let's get a little share moment together. How about that? Let's wake everybody up because, quite honestly, now we've had some really good conversations in the years, but this conversation today
is about choice.
And the reality of choice. Not only the reality of me making the choice to want to, but the reality of the power of choice. And even, right, having a very real conversation and then overarching and aligning it, not from my own feelings, but what the Bible says about it. Very powerful, right? So, let's make the choice right now. So number one, hold on. I do not see Dominique and I do not see Jalen and I do not see Marquis. So Steph, call your brothers and your sister. And be like, hey, it's church time, baby. Wake them up. And then you, my friends that are with us, whether you're watching this now or on the replay, once again, we thank God for you. And even on this part, you can still share. Because when we start dealing with the effects, matter of fact, let's say this, babe. When you start dealing with the privilege and the brilliance of love that is wrapped up in the ability to choose, that's the conversation that we need to all have today.
Mhm.
Okay? What do you feel? Like, what do you feel about choice? What does choice mean to you, baby? And that's all right. I had coffee. I'm hopped up. Just so y'all know, I've been drinking my coffee. I've been awake since who knows how early. We've been talking. I'm ready to go. I'm feeling the bubbles of this one.
Okay, so for me, it's important to be able to have choice because,
Mm-hmm.
you know,
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to say it from a woman's aspect, okay?
Okay.
I love being able to have choice because, I never know which way I'm going to feel.
Right.
Like, especially, let's use my clothes for an example. You
Yeah.
know, I always take out two different choices for me to,
To decide.
to
God bless you,
decide
Suave. I
what
see
I'm
my
going to
good man.
wear the next
Mhm.
day.
Mhm.
And so whether, it just depends on how I feel when I wake up or
Mhm.
determining how the weather is going to be.
Right. Determining how the weather's going to be.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Because the
Yep.
temperature plays a part in what I decide to wear.
Ooh, you preaching right now. I know we conversating, but you preaching. The temperature. Go ahead. I keep talking. I'm
And
listening.
then with food,
Yep.
I can never make up my mind on what I want. Like, especially when you're like, "Hey, baby, what do you feel like eating today?"
Yes.
I don't know, but
Yes.
when we go to a restaurant where it offers me different options and choices,
Yes.
I can decide on what I feel like eating.
Makes sense. I love it. It's okay. So I got another question for you then. Got another question for you. I'll be full of questions for you today, just so you know. Just be prepared to dispel your amazing wisdom when it comes down to choice. So here's my other question is, when you look at choice, oh, this is so good. I'm sorry, baby. When you look at choice, who determines whether that choice is right or wrong?
Who determines it?
Yeah. I'm acting foolish today. I got my old goofy man hat on this morning. Who determines the decision whether it's right or wrong? Seth, could you write that in the chat for me, Seth?
I'll say, how can I say your choice determines your consequence?
Woo!
Brother?
Can I get out? Where y'all at? Oh man!
So like when it comes down to the kids,
Your choice determines your consequence.
so like with my students,
Wow.
right?
Wow.
Okay, I always give them options and choices to decide. Especially when I'm working in small group and the kids that I'm working with, those are who I'm focused on, and then the other kids, they have a choice and an option. They can choose to do certain things, but if they make the choice to not follow the expectation, there's a consequence.
There's a consequence behind it.
Mhm.
Wow. Your choice determines your consequence or your reward.
Mhm.
You can go both ways. Boy, you starting in, baby. You already starting in. Okay, so somebody typed this. Steph, happy birthday. Said, who determines whether a choice is right or wrong? And Steph, could you type this in the chat, my friend, that you watch this? Type this in the chat. And then I'm going to ask you all a question. It's going to be really powerful. The first part is type into the chat, your choice determines your reward or consequence. Type that. And then as you're typing it, literally, I want to move over. I want to sit down with you on the couch for a second. And I want you to take your time to think about that for a second. And then I asked the question about who determines whether your choice is right or wrong.
You tell me who determines.
That's the
it.
tough part.
Yeah.
That's the question right there.
Because everybody has a point of view.
Yes.
And an understanding of what they feel is right or wrong. But who determines that? Who tips the scale?
You know who tips the scale?
You? Yeah, tell us. Who tells you?
The one with the power.
And who's the one with the power?
God, not man. Okay. Listen to this closely, my good friends. One thing that we try to do, and my wife, she is now. Okay, we know we don't really identify when it comes down to saying political parties or what have you.
Mm-hmm.
But if you were to say, how do we think? My wife and I, we're kind of on different sets of schedule, and we dwell beautifully as a wonderful one, right? I have some leanings, but then I identify as independent. And the reason why is simply because I'm like, hey, you know what? Let me see the facts. Seth, could you agree with that, right? Show me the facts, man, right? And don't try to sway my decision by your feelings, because we know what do we know? Feelings and emotions are unreliable,
Yep.
right? And so dealing with some choices, it always is going to come down to the one with the power, okay? But when you look at other decisions that have a moral baseline of why we make this decision or we make this choice, then you have to understand that a moral lining, the powerful individual in this has to be God. Because anything outside of that will now cause it to be an overwhelming removal of someone's opportunity. Are we following? Okay. So it took us to a point to say, okay, God, with all the things that are in debate right now, one of the greatest ones that are in debate are the choice to take away someone's choice, or the choice to move in, make others choose hate in order to. Right now we're looking at, and let's be real, right here on the table, we're dealing. In fact, here's a great story. We went to what was the name of the store we went to yesterday? Five Guys, and we identified someone that leaned a certain way. Now watch this, my friends. We identified somebody that leaned a certain way, and as we made our right turn, we had to make a left to go to the store, and the individual that leaned a certain way was blocking our opportunity for us to make a left.
No, not yet.
Not yet.
He could have made the choice
Listen
to
to
allow us to, go through safely, because he wasn't able to go anywhere anyway, because there was two cars in front of him, and instead of letting us allowing us the space to go through, he pulls his car forward
to block us. So he made the choice to block us. I can't tell you the reason why he made that choice to do that, but his choice was to impede our ability to flow.
Which, the way we were trying to turn in, because once you turn into the parking lot, you have to make the immediate right. No, we turned right. We had to make the immediate left in order to go to the store. So imagine if we had cars behind us, we would be holding up traffic.
Yes, and causing more danger.
Because we were not able to make the left.
That's it. So the reason why we bring that point up is this. If someone is trying to impede you to choose the decision to hate, then that's not right. If someone is choosing you to say, hey, live in a space where you identify that there is no hope, that in itself is not right, my friends. Okay? But I'm not the authority, and neither are any of us, any human. We're not, because if we're dealing with these things, we are not the authority. So let's go to the authority. In our case, now, you remember how we discussed about how we understand that everybody that watches this may or may not be a believer? Yes, right? So here's the key. If you're not a believer and you do not subscribe to God, then guess what? It's kind of hard for you to have a conversation about what God is telling you to do. Am I right? However, if you are a believer and you subscribe to the things of God, listen to this crazy story. The greatest gift that we were ever given through salvation is something called volition. Seth, right? Volition. What is volition? Volition said is in a nice laid back play. God says, listen, I love you enough to allow you to choose me because I did not create you to be a robot. Now I'm going to tell you that you're going to have the opportunity to make many decisions and make many choices of your own accord. And when you make those decisions and choices are related to a consequence or reward. So why don't we talk about a little bit on Deuteronomy for a second? We're gonna wrap this up, and it's gonna make a lot of sense. Go to Deuteronomy. It's an Old Testament, my friends, and I know I said Deuteronomy me in my list, the 30th chapter, and we're gonna end up around the 19th verse, but I'm gonna start at 30. And to give you a little background for those that have never read it, here we are, the people of Israel are standing at the precipice of understanding what God requires out of them. But even in the midst of him explaining that both choices will lead to a certain place, he still gives them this opportunity to understand that you personally, you individually, you, Y-O-U. Somebody type in the chat, Y. Y, and then type in O, and then type in U. You, Y-O-U. You have a choice to make. Now check this out. You may be burning and hurting and crying and in pain because of choice that you made before. And now you're dealing with the consequence of what that has produced because of the ill choices that we've made before. America, let me let you know one important thing. That which we deal with now, we should have made a choice differently before. And so now we're here where we were. Okay? So your choice has a consequence or an action. Now watch this. Deuteronomy. It says, and it shall come to pass when all these things will come upon you, the blessings and the curses, which I have set before you, and thou shalt call them to mind among all the nations, whether the Lord your God has driven you, and shall return you unto the Lord your God. And you shall obey his voice according to all that I command you this day, you and your children with all their hearts and with all your soul, that very moment, and that then the Lord thy God will turn thy captivity and have compassion upon thee, and will return any of thine who are driven away to him. Listen, this is powerful. Listen, Chardonnay. America, let me wake you up for a second. My friends that are watching, let me say something. That where we are now, this is not a conservative versus liberal fight. It's not a Democratic versus a Republican fight. It is not a Harris versus a Trump fight. We are standing at a place where God has stood forward and says, now, you got some choices to make. But the choice that you got to make is not between two parties. The choice that you have to make is now you are literally standing at the face of me and God saying, I need to choose God. This is powerful. What does that look like? When we say that you need to choose God, a man or woman is not your God. God is saying literally, I'm going to put you in such a wild situation that you're going to realize there's got to be a third option. Not realizing that the option 1 or 2 are actually 2 and 3. And God should be the only option for this. I was watching Fox the other day, as well as CNN, and they have made this battle between a few different things. They've made it between border safety. They've made it between abortion. They made it between all these different I'll say issues. That's the best way to say it. In order to galvanize two sides of people to try to get them to make one decision, right? Mm-hmm. And so then I began to ask a question. I was like, wait a minute. The first question I asked was, on the galvanization on one side, what are they using to motivate people? And this was a very hard conversation for me to have with myself, even with you, babe, with God, because I had to strip away all these feelings that I had personally that were connected to my beliefs as a believer in God. Watch this, guys. Choice. And I went to the scripture. I'm going to read this for you. I want you to hear this. I asked one question. If someone is driving and stoking hate is transferable, Seth. Babe, hate itself is transferable. So today I can hate coffee. Mm-hmm. And then if I feel like I've accomplished it and I've got rid of all coffee, then I can say, wait a minute, hey, today I'm going to hate blue cars. And then after I've eradicated every blue car, Then I can say, oh, you know what? Today I'm going to hate my neighbor. And after I've eradicated all of my neighbors, then I can say, oh, you know what? I know what I hate. Oh, I really hate water. And I can eradicate water. 1 John, if anyone says I love God and hate his brother, he's a liar. For he who does not love his brother whom he has seen cannot love God whom he has not seen. Mm-hmm. Proverbs 10 and 12. Hatred stirs up strife, but love covers a multitude of sins. Mm-hmm. 1 John 9. Whoever says he is in the light and hates his brother is still in darkness. Matthew 6 and 15. But if you do not forgive others their trespasses, neither will your Father forgive your trespasses. Matthew 5 and 44. But I say to you, love your enemies and pray for those who persecute you. John 15 and 18. If the world hates you, you know that it has hated me before it hates you. And that's where I stop. My friends, trust me, this is not a battle between two parties. This is God standing up and saying to you, will you choose me? Guess what? Whether you want to say you believe that God is real or not, he is. And the determining factor of him being real is not on how you feel, because he continues to exist before your feelings. He continues to exist after your feelings. But here's what your choice has to be. Your choice has to be in a space that says, will I choose hate over choice? That is scary. Why is that so scary, babe? If you have two things before you, I've got the choice to hate, or I've got the choice to choose. Which one is more important? Which one hurts? Which one has more lasting impression? I don't know. You need to tell me.
Listen.
Seth, type that in the chat for me. What do you do when you're faced with choice and hate? And here's the funny part about it. Oh my goodness, baby. My friends, hear this. This plays out all the time in parts of life. This ain't just about what we're dealing with in the news. This plays out in relationships. Mm-hmm. Oh, I hate you, so I choose to not let you have the right to do what you have a right to do. You hurt my feelings, so therefore I choose not to let you come over here and hang out with someone that you have a right to hang out with, because I hate you. Hate is an ugly, disgusting, vile thing. You know what hate does, babe?
It separates.
Come on. What it says? Type that in the chat. In the tape. Put it in the tape. Put the hate in the tape. Hate separates. You know what else hate does? Because hate in itself can't naturally, effectively separate initially. Mm-hmm. Hate woos. What hate does is hate silences, hate separates, and then it spits vile into you. And the first thing hate seeks to do is to remove hope. Because Seth, can I tell you, guys, can I look at it? If you feel like you have a choice, there's still a bit of hope there. Can we agree? Mm-hmm. Now, oh man, I feel the fire right now. Because there's somebody on way down the street is saying, wait a minute, oh my gosh, is Raphael talking about he's pro-choice? Watch how we talk about this. This has nothing to do with whether I'm pro-life, pro-choice, or otherwise. But when you're a real believer, you understand that you and I, for my believers that are watching, we have the choice to make. Yowzers. Seth, we have the choice to make. Okay, let's read verse 19. Can we go back to Deuteronomy, verse 19, guys? Watch this. I call heaven and earth to record this day against you, that I have set before you life and death, blessing and cursing. Therefore choose life, that both thou and thy seed may live, that thou mayest love the Lord thy God, and though that thou mayest obey his voice, and that thou mayest cleave unto him. For he is the life, and the length of thy days, that thou mayest dwell in the land which the Lord sware unto thy fathers, to Abraham, to Isaac, and to Jacob, to give you. Yowzers. The life, love itself says to you that I need you to be a part of the decision that someone will make when they're standing in pain with the choice of aborting a life that dwells within them. So this battle is not for us to remove the choice of a thing. The real alignment is, will we stand up for those that believe and do not believe alike, to be there and to not to be silent Christians inside the church walls, but to stand outside and alongside and there in conversation and in love, and not care whether a camera is there when someone is faced with this tough decision. And this is where it's going to hurt. For those that know and that have read, there was a time when the king was killing all the baby boys 2 years and under, and because he feared that Jesus was coming. And at any moment, the power holder could have stopped it. But the power holder knew that something greater was coming. So when you look at it this way, and you see someone that is spewing vile hatred and causing you to feel this overwhelm of no hope, be careful. Because you still have a choice to make. And the fact that God gave us a choice, watch this. God is so staunch on how much he allows us choice that he gave us the ability to choose whether we would follow him. But if we do choose to follow him, then you must follow all the things that are part of following him. And it is there where we choose not to kill. It is there where we choose not to lie and to hurt our brothers and things like that. Because the question at the beginning was what, babe? It depends on who has the power. But for those that do not believe and they're faced with this choice, it is our job to stand up and to be there in a phenomenal, overwhelming support. The Bible told us this, my friends, that the joy of the Lord will lead to repentance. And if we can be there and offer the option, whatever happens with their choice, it becomes between them and God. So my friends, if you're leaning towards hate because of your concern of whether God will be mad at you because you're looking to lean to somebody that says, hey, trust choice, let me free you of that right now, because scripture is clear about what hatred really does. Now, I spent many times trying to be silent and just research about this, but at the end of the day, God is saying, now you were stuck with two really tough choices. Choose me. And when I choose God, everything else falls in line. Choice. So I dare you to choose not to hate, guys. That man that could have left us in danger made a choice to not let us go. And we could have made the choice to pull over, jump out the car, scream, give him all these fingers and scream and all that crazy. But no, we didn't. We just chose to keep going through and enjoyed our meal. I'll leave you with this last thing. how will your choice of how you're acting now affect those that are around you when all of this is over? If you have been choosing to be hatred and vile filled to your neighbor that you live next door to, and then after this whole thing is done, hate is transferable. Seth, type that in the chat. Hate is transferable. And guess what, babe? Hate doesn't have a timeline. Nope. And the music changed, so I think it's time for us to change over. My friends, we love you so much. Was that? Oh, that was right on time. All right. So, babe, I'm sorry. What you got to say? What you thinking?
Oh, no, that was a really strong message today.
Yeah.
Really strong message.
Yeah.
And, we all have a choice.
You all have a choice. Yeah, and go past the choice. But don't take choice off the table. No. Could you imagine if it was, who takes the choice off the table? Satan. He sure does. Ask somebody who sold their soul. Let me tell you, Satan plays a dirty game, guys. And so I want you to deep dive. The Bible tells us as we get ready to close, it says that a man has to examine himself, look inside himself. I want you to do this. I got you, babe. I want you to look inside yourself for this very moment. I want you to hold that babe. Actually, allow yourself to step out and say, God, give me the clarity of thought just for this moment. Hold it that babe and say this. Say, Lord, take the scales from my eyes and my heart. Please allow me to see you. Let me see you. And in the midst of you requesting him to let you see him, he's going to show you some amazing things that's going to overwhelm you, because his thoughts are above our thoughts. His ways are above our ways, man. And in the midst of you seeing, enter a space where you say, Lord, forgive me, where I have not measured up to what you have called me to do. And what's so funny about that prayer, my friend, is in the midst of that, there's going to be a peace that's going to overcome you that surpasses all understanding. Because I know there's some of my friends that are in agony right now. Because even now they're saying, I feel like this is a little more than what I thought I signed up for. And God said, wrong God, I'm God. All right, I love you, my friends. God bless you. Have a smile upon you. Thanks for hanging out with us.
And make sure you keep the faith and spread authentic love.
That's right. And remember always that your best is just the start. Don't miss our next chat. See you next Sunday. Bye-bye, guys. Awesome.